Hey everybody! Well, I just went and got my first vaccine shot. Had to drive 2 hours to go to Bangor for it, but completely worth it. Went for a short, fast, hard run, and now I figured why not? I'll drink the new 2019 Frank Cornelissen Susucaru. The wine formerly known as Contadino. Until Trader Joe's sent them a cease and desist order because apparently it was a house brand or something that Trader Joe's had trademarked Contadino in the US or something like that, and Frank was like, sure, whatever. Susucaru. So, 2019, is this Etna Rosso? IGP, Terra Siciliane. Nerello Mascalese, so this is from Frank Cornelissen, up on Etna. I'll just hold that label right there. Hi! Look at that. And I will pour it now. Now I will pour this wine. So February 2016, I went to Sicily and ran everywhere. I ran from Catania up and then up over Mount Etna and went and spent a weekend in Solicchiata here visiting Frank, and it was pretty crazy. I ran like 200 kilometers in the space of like 5 or 6 days, got attacked by wild dogs and stuff, and you know, ran all over Etna, ran down around Ragusa and Vittoria and stuff, and visited Ariana Occupinti. So I have very fond memories of Mount Etna. And I went back in the autumn of 2019 to see if Etna was still as amazing and mind-blowing and just basically the coolest place on earth as I remembered it, or whether my memories, whether I had been like blinded by that whole experience. So I went back and it was still incredible and just the most amazing, insane place on earth. Geez, this is mostly Nerello Mascalese. Call it Nerello Mascalese. There's a tiny bit of other stuff in here probably because a lot of the old vineyards are co-planted with other things. Nerello Cappuccio and I don't know, Grechetto and Caracante. But you know, basically Nerello Mascalese here. Frank has been here on Mount Etna since, I want to say, 2001. You know, learning, evolving. He fell in love with Etna because it is an amazing, insane place, and it is an amazing wine. It's an amazing like terroir and environment, period, because you have this volcano that's like 6,000 feet of elevation on this island that is actually further south than the north coast of like Algeria. It's like subtropical. It's, you know, practically like African. But then you have this volcano, and so the vines here and all the other plants, the environment, you know, you're like 2,000 to 3,000 feet of elevation, but exposed to the ocean. When I was on the east face of Mount Etna visiting Salvo Foti, or even Ieri, Salvo was not there. I visited his son. You're like 2,700 feet above sea level, but it feels and smells like you're standing on the beach. It's crazy. So it's an interesting place. Frank fell in love with Mount Etna, moved there, started making wine, taught himself to make wine, learned from a lot of other people. Makes wines, you know, his wines originally sort of partially defined the natural wine movement. He makes wine with no added yeast, without adding sulfur, but he's not like super dogmatic. He has continued to evolve and just try to make better wine, and make better wine by learning, and like learning the environment, learning more about the fermentation process, learning about like what he does, and how he can try to guide and control the process using technology, like, you know, using different tanks and a different geez, what was it? Oh, he was, the last time I was there, he was showing me a pump and how he had changed the inner workings of it so that it would be more gentle on the wine and the grapes and stuff like that. Anyway, okay. All right, Nerello Mascalese. It smells fruity. It smells fresh and vivid and like blackberry. Yeah, a lot of blackberry, some black cherry, fresh, a little bit of cranberry, like sort of zippy too. It doesn't smell spicy or like fiery at all, which is a thing that I get from Nerello Mescalese here. Sometimes, maybe it will as it opens up, because these always open up and evolve as, you know, zero sulfur and as you drink them. Whoa. Maybe it's just the first mouthful. Boy, wow, this is pretty rich. This is way richer than the 2018 vintage, which was pretty light, I think. On the palate, it's got some more like classic Nerello Mescalese, like rich, like spiciness, like baking spice on the finish of it. And it's got some substantial tannin. It's not rough. It's not, I wouldn't call it tight. Because the fruit, I would call this like an extroverted version of Susucaru or expression in this vintage, because it has a lot of fruit. It's juicy, it's rich, it's like, this is very, very approachable and sort of like in your face. Wow. Yeah. Boy, it's so good. It's hard to not just drink the wine. It's hard to like actually pay attention and like pull it apart and describe bit by bit what it tastes like. Okay, I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna do it. Focus, Ned. Okay, blackberry, black cherry. Then the tannin starts to come in on the mid palate, dry your mouth out. Gets kind of like, it's a gritty, like textural thing. Then you get more of the baking spice that comes in. It's like a like gingerbread, like molasses, like cooked fruit. A little bit of like cumin or like coriander in there. The fruit like continues through the whole palate. On the finish, it gets darker and more like black. It's more, the finish is a little bit more like tarry, a little bit more like concentrated, where the fruit at the front of the wine is more like bright and fresh, sort of like there's more cranberry and like black raspberry and stuff there. It's more like fresh, juicy fruit, where by the finish of the wine, it is like darker, denser, more concentrated, but still in a very like juicy, like nice, good, fun, drinkable kind of way. It's very integrated. It's like the wine is really like a combination of like fruit, tannin, and then this like aromatic, like baking spice, like baked, sort of like cooked food flavor that comes in there. It's balanced. It has good acidity up front, but the acidity isn't something that you really notice. Likewise, minerality, there's not like a ton of salt or anything that I'm picking up on that's like driving the wine or the experience. It's not that it's lacking those things really, like I don't notice it, you know, like they are there and the wine tastes very integrated. They're just not the defining components of the wine. It's very Mount Etna. It is like clearly Nerello Mescalese. It's also so different from last year's vintage and from the vintage before that. This is riper. smoother, more concentrated, a little bit less wild tasting. It's really good. This is cool. It's another like evolution in the process, another step in like Frank going where he's going and Etna as a wine region developing. This is super awesome. So these are out there around in Maine, along with all kinds of crazy large format single vineyard Mungibel bottles from 2017, because I just cleared the importer out of everything he had. Thank you, Zev. I think, yeah, I got all the magnums. There may be a few double magnums.